Hi, my name is Rob King. I'm co-founder and Chief Operating Officer at Wzard Innovation, and I'm here today recording a presentation I first delivered at the RPA and AI Conference in the Netherlands on the 21st of September 2017, titled RPA Outlook. Originally presented on day one of the conference, it was designed to help provide a building block for newcomers while still providing sufficient insight for more experienced practitioners on the progress and application of artificial intelligence. Thank you for tuning in. Before I begin, I'd like to talk a little bit about my background. I started out with an interest in developing new technologies. My undergraduate studies included development and comparison of various AI techniques, and my early career focused on using collaborative working approaches, rapid application development and joint application development techniques to drive increasing levels of office automation. I joined General Electric in the late 90s, who provided the opportunity to develop my understanding of Lean and Six Sigma, eventually moving into a full-time role to champion the rollout of Lean and Six Sigma in the UK. It was a great combination to bring together the technology skills with Lean and Six Sigma to deliver vastly improved processes and embracing new, at the time, business technologies that were emerging. 10 years ago, I joined LV, a UK insurer, to introduce lean thinking into an operation that needed significant cultural change to adapt to new collaborative and empowering ways of working. Then, 5 years ago, a new innovation team was formed, and again it was an opportunity to bring together a drive for new technology with new ways of working, with lean thinking, good quality, data-driven processes and organisational design to deliver a new innovation practice. And that naturally led us down the road of automation, where we investigated, piloted, implemented a number of different solutions in a wide range of business areas that included attended, unattended, some of the natural language and human-computer interaction through chatbots. So one of the things I've learned across my career has been the ability to combine successful practices, processes and ways of working to drive change and innovation. And that applied particularly to robotic automation. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to look at what is RPA, how to communicate automation to your stakeholders, how you can combine RPA and AI, and also which processes benefit the most from either RPA and AI, and which still require more human interaction. Our goal was to start at the beginning with the simple question, what is robotic process automation? Well, according to the Institute for Robotic Process Automation, it is the application of technology allowing employees in a company to configure computer software or a robot to capture and interpret existing applications for processing a transaction, manipulating data, triggering responses and communicating with other digital systems. In essence, manual tasks normally completed within an office environment, such as keying information into legacy computer systems or copying data from one system to another, running reports or consolidating data from multiple sources, are all examples of regular office tasks that can easily be completed by a bot. We will look at the different types of automation available shortly. For now, if you've never seen an RPA bot, then you may have seen an Excel macro running. Imagine an Excel macro which automatically moves information around a spreadsheet, formatting it and finally printing the information. RPA can do the same for applications which sit on your desktop or run in your browser. There are a wide range of vendors who now operate in this space, probably over 40 and rising, and there is a huge difference in their capabilities and the types of organisations that are most suited to their solution. It's probably worth mentioning at this point there is a huge amount of information that's available for free, and I have found conferences and the community of RPA practitioners very open and supportive. However, finding the right partner will accelerate your journey. Emphasis here on the right partner. In the early stages, you may still be looking for the right solution to fit your business, so there are two pitfalls that are best avoided. First of all, is a company who simply wants to sell you the licenses to their specific solution. Our experience over the last 5 years is there is a great degree of variation, and you want to obtain advice on how to navigate to the right solution rapidly. Second, at the extreme opposite end of the spectrum are organisations who want to sign you up for a thorough assessment of the entire market lasting multiple months, probably generating vast quantities of PowerPoint and simply taking too long and costing far too much. What you are looking for is a partner who has some of the market knowledge already and can match it up to your specific organisation needs and thereby accelerate your own journey. If you're one of those organisations wondering if RPA is right for you, simply put, it's better to start somewhere than not start at all. Spending too long waiting to get going or hiring companies who want to boil the ocean and spend weeks or months to complete a strategic review or to fully evaluate the options is simply not necessary. That's not to say you have to take a complete leap of faith. There is still a structured approach that you can go through to find the right result. There are a few things you can do before you begin on your automation journey. Now, this first item, create leadership buy-in, is actually a little debatable. Don't get me wrong, I do think it's an important step. However, in the early piloting stage, it may just be local management whose support is needed to ensure a smooth trial, the data for which you can then use to convince senior management to progress with the project. Whichever approach you take, ultimately, it will be essential to include senior management buy-in and support at some point. The second step, creating common understanding, is a bit of myth busting. Everyone you speak with will have a different idea of what automation is. It will vary from Skynet to physical robots to it'll never happen. I'm going to talk about creating a shared understanding in a bit more detail in a moment. It's not difficult to work out a good candidate process to begin with. There isn't a need to complete a 16-week study. There will be people within your organisation who know which processes have the highest volume and take the longest time. Leverage these existing skills to identify your candidate processes. Once a few candidate processes have been identified, it's a much simpler task to drill down and select the one you wish to begin with. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to give you the opportunity to start and learn. Which leads me nicely to experiments. In the early days, you're going to have to build up some knowledge and try things out. Rome wasn't built in a day, or so they say. I can't say for sure because I wasn't there. But the same is true for RPA. Build in some early learning time. A great way to apply this is the lean startup model. Build, measure, learn. Repeat. If you've never come across The Lean Startup by Eric Rice, it's worth a read. It's not just for startups either. Organisations of any size have something to learn from the book, and it fits the development of automation really well. First up, it's collaborative. It's about putting the right people together. Second, it's iterative. Work through small development cycles that each deliver a workable outcome. This is a great way to learn as you go, but also reduce any risks while you're still learning. Finally, taking the time to measure the results will inevitably take you in a direction you wouldn't have foreseen at the beginning, before you put the automation principles into practice. Another concept from the Lean Startup is MVP, minimum viable product. It's another concept that works well in the automation space, focusing the team on something that is deliverable quickly. Now, here's our first rub. This all sounds great. But what is the culture of your organisation currently? How does it fit with current thinking? And what are the barriers that you're going to face? How are you going to communicate to stakeholders? Now, if you are facing a cultural change, you're at the beginning of a long journey. In my previous organisation, we embarked on a 5-year cultural change programme that involved many different techniques to help along the way. But the start of that journey was at the top. It is your stakeholders, and you're going to need them all saying the same thing, leading from the front and delivering a supportive message. To do that, there is one thing that you're really going to need. A common vocabulary. When GE introduced Six Sigma, they gave everyone in the organisation the same vocabulary to understand that when they were operating at a 3.8 Sigma process, they knew exactly how good or bad they were compared to other business units. When Alvi was going through its cultural change, one of the first things that happened that started to give us our first indications that we were on the right path was when the term test and learn started to be used openly across the organisation at all levels, a piece of vocabulary that simply hadn't existed in the organisation before. It was the start of eliminating the fear of failure that had previously paralysed people into inactivity, and so it is with automation. For all of the myths and misunderstandings, you need to get ahead of the curve and actually define the vocabulary to use within your organisation. When meeting with people for the first time, it is not unusual to experience a wide variation in understanding what automation can and can't do. Expectations vary from processes that are currently really complicated and difficult for even humans to carry out through to the HAL 9000. A common vocabulary will not only help them understand what different types of automation are possible, but also focusing them on where to begin. I tend to start with a bold statement. Any process we do today can be automated, but then quickly caveat that with a clarification. Some things are much easier to do than others. On this chart, for example, the stuff on the right is typically a lot harder than the stuff on the left. Also, some things we may decide not to do as an organisation. It is still our own choice. The first category we have, office automation, is arguably not a type of automation at all, but is not included here just for me to be argumentative. Office automation is an important stepping stone development of an automation strategy and is a simple alternative that should not be overlooked, as low code and no code development environments accelerate the pace of delivery timescales, allowing legacy systems, for example, to be eliminated and the need for automation to be reduced. Strong process improvement and evaluation skills remain a foundation building block for any automation initiative to ensure that we simply do not automate poor existing processes, but take the opportunity to re-engineer future-proof processes to meet customer needs. Without jumping into enterprise automation solutions, inexpensive automation options exist that may cost effectively fulfill specific business needs. Simple tools like Excel macros, programmable function keys, or some of the simpler automation tools may be sufficient. Moving on to desktop automation. Desktop automation provides the facility to create a hybrid working environment of automation and manual steps completed by the user at their PC. A strong selling point for desktop automation is the ability to mix and match in this manner, with the thinking that it would be more beneficial to automate 20% of 100 desktop processes than to strive to achieve 100% automation of just a few. Desktop automation places the user in control of triggering the automation, which can also stop at key decision points for the users to interact and/or commit the transaction. Running on the desktop generally allows the end user to view the progress of the automation interactively, albeit running at a far accelerated speed than possible if the user was entering the data himself. Where the level of confidence in using automation is low, this step-by-step approach to building up automation in bite-sized steps is a way to gain trust and confidence in the principles. From a security perspective, the automation always has the same access rights as the user who triggers it. By using the application interface rather than direct access to the underlying database, all validation in the manual process is applied while the automation is running. Automation is often applied to link together multiple loosely coupled applications, a situation expected to increase as an environment of smaller single function applications develops. Automation provides the glue to link these applications together into a single seamless process. Next, we have robotic process automation. Robotic process automation operates without the need for human interaction. It runs effectively in a separate box, receiving the work, processing it, and providing the output, providing a type of straight-through processing, if you will. Although there is no human involvement, the robot still interacts with other digital systems in the same manner as a person. Both desktop automation and robotic automation rely on the underlying system solutions to complete their processing tasks. In this respect, they can differ from virtual assistants and intelligent computing, which are able to replace portions of existing process with a learning solution. Next is virtual assistants. A virtual assistant or chatbot is responsive to normal human modes of communication. They use natural language processing technology to deconstruct text or speech input in order to understand what is needed to carry out the required response. The assistant learns the appropriate response using machine learning, providing the required information back to the user, or interacting with existing systems to complete their required task. Virtual assistants come in different flavours and approach they take to learning the new information, and this can direct the suitability, complexity and costs associated with your chosen solution. A closed-loop machine learning environment is one in which the human continues to train the automation to an increased level of scenarios. The virtual assistant refers to a real person if it's unable to provide a response themselves, but then watches and learns the response from the real person, which is then used to deal with the situation in the future. Finally, we have intelligent automation. Here we dip our toes into the world of AI. The use of AI expands the opportunities for automation away from simple task-based or rote transactions into a learning complexity and skills. Robotic process automation can be used to print out computer documentation, for example. Intelligent automation can learn how to underwrite. Let's be clear though, it's not easy and it's a long way from being truly artificially intelligent. It's just really very good at learning complicated patterns. Some people refer to this as augmented intelligence, which arguably is a better way of looking at it. Generally, when I explain AI, I'd explain that AI is an umbrella term that can describe anything from understanding handwriting and OCR through to the science fiction versions. Intelligent automation is used in numerous artificial intelligence applications, including expert systems, natural language processing, neural networks, robotics and virtual reality. The term cognitive computing, though, is sometimes used, and this is a term more closely linked to IBM's Watson. Helping to create a common vocabulary helps us to bring us into the real world. And it's the first step in helping to communicate transparently. And there's a really good reason for doing this. According to McKinsey Global Institute, 60% of occupations could see 30% of their tasks automated with technologies that are available today. In the UK, the chairman of the Bank of England stated there will be 15 million jobs at risk over the next 20 years because of the progress of robotic automation and AI. People are reading this in the newspapers every day. So thinking about our people brings me neatly to another favourite topic of mine, use of lean thinking. This isn't something that you have to worry about while you're still piloting. But when you begin to move beyond the experiments, it's clear that RPA cannot and should not exist in a bubble. This is a model that I've been using when explaining RPA for a while, and we're going to add to it a little bit over the remainder of this session. We've already mentioned that RPA is a way of automating tasks sitting above our existing systems. But sitting above this, organisations already have strategic and organisational goals and objectives. As a 20-year practitioner of lean thinking, customer, people, process are the three tenets upon which lean thinking can be viewed. Perhaps unbelievably, automation is one of the key elements upon which lean thinking was built. Called autonomation, it was automation with human intelligence, a concept that was created by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of the Toyota Group, over 100 years ago. Sometimes a new technique or new technology arrives and people go mad, seemingly to forget all of the good techniques they used before. Lean and other business methodologies are even more relevant to be efficient in the RPA world. Continuing to focus on customer needs is essential. Automation in all its flavours is essential to digital transformation that organisations are now finding themselves within, simply to survive. Along with this transformation, people will require new skills. At the heart of lean thinking is respect for people, a principle that applies to good news as well as bad. Trust and transparency are key to the lean ethos. And then finally, the process layer eliminates waste, applying some well-defined tools and techniques to optimize for autonomous running. Our next question though is, how do we fit AI into this model? So what do we mean by AI? What can it actually do? And how can we combine it with RPA? AI is different from every previous technology because of its ability to self-learn. This was a great quote from a recent conference by Mark Purdy, the Managing Director of Research at Accenture Research. Another good quote that I've heard is, AI is the new electricity because of the impact it will have on people, culture and industry. There is no doubt that AI is creating a big reaction right now. But it's all important to go back to our earlier definitions. AI is definitely a long way from Data in Star Trek, Arnie in Terminator or Mir from Inhumans. But it is providing new possible opportunities in 3 specific areas. What did the Romans ever do for me? The tools and techniques are already in daily use. We see, we hear and we read about progress of AI every day. AI is already able to understand unstructured information such as documents, video and audio. It can understand and automate some tasks completely. OCR and handwriting can be interpreted where the quality of understanding is high enough and feed directly through to an RPA. Legal departments spend time reading through documents to verify their compliance. It is now possible to train an AI to verify the compliance to a greater degree of accuracy and at much greater speed. Even the role of journalism in sports is moving to automation in facts and figures and progress updates through multiple channels. Secondly, and probably the most prevalent technology, augments human interactions. Siri, Alexa, Cortana all use natural language to understand user instructions and are able to deal with a wide variation of accents and sentence construction. Chatbots such as National Rail can deal with non-linear discussions, or Chase Bank personalises an experience to each individual. Spoken telephone conversations can be transcribed for RPA and understood in an unstructured conversation directly with customers. While AI technologies have not yet diffused into standard usage, think of how the internet has changed the way we live, this happens when we make decisions in real time. And expert systems already do this. Driverless cars such as the Tesla can understand and react to traffic conditions and learns more as it drives. And new social opportunities will develop from the diffusion of this technology, perhaps driverless cars leading to optimized traffic flow, for example. The 2 short-term practical applications for us for AI will be to create structure from unstructured data, be that video, voice, audio or written, for processing by an RPA, and the development of a subject knowledge for policy or legal evaluation, that knowledge representation, the 2 key areas for us for AI. One of the biggest challenges we have for RPA is receiving data in a digital format to then process through to completion. In other words, RPA is really only suitable when we have both structured data and structured process. AI is different. It can process both unstructured data and handle unstructured or non-linear processes. The benefit to RPA is huge as a way to take unstructured information, structure it, and then apply it through the RPA process. So I'm going to add this to the model we looked at earlier. We now have the situation sometimes referred to as intelligent automation, where RPA can service structured customer requests, AI can deal with unstructured interactions and also thereby structure the information for RPA to process. The model isn't yet finished, so we're going to come back to this in a minute. Our final question is which processes benefit from RPA or RPA and AI and which still require human interaction. Well, for starters, any job requiring empathy and compassion is going to be more suitable for human interaction. IBM Watson may be able to diagnose cancer better than a doctor, but I doubt that a patient would be like to be given the news by a machine. The ethics of what we should and shouldn't do is an interesting topic, and advances in AI makes the ethical debate more interesting and more important than ever. However, from a more practical standpoint, we are here today to consider more typical business processes, and to answer the question of suitability, I'm going to apply one of the lean techniques. Runners, repeaters and rogues is a technique to help evaluate the different types of customer demand in order to develop an effective organisation structure, the right skills and an efficient process. At the bottom of the pyramid we have our runner processes. These are our bread and butter. They are very task-based. In most organisations you see 80% of effort being applied to this type of demand. Repeaters are tasks which occur on a regular basis. They may be standard processes, but their periodic nature makes them difficult to schedule. Tax year end, financial year end and other factors all create spikes in demand that are not easily serviced from runner resources without overstaffing. As a result, these are handled with temps or rely on overtime working. Both options can result in a drop in quality if they are not properly dealt with. Rogues, on the other hand, occur infrequently. They are best addressed as they occur. These are your knowledge workers, where your experience is applied over process. If a rogue is encountered in a runner process, it is immediately handed to the person who can deal with the situation. The situation is dealt with until it can continue to run through the runner process. An example of this in process is your grocery checkout, when you have an item that doesn't scan. The checkout person does not get up and head in search of a replacement for your item. Rather, they activate a light and continue scanning your good items. Another person who is knowledgeable in the layout of the whole store picks up the item, knows exactly where to obtain the replacement, and once retrieved, the replacement goes back on the conveyor belt and the runner process continues uninterrupted. Runners, repeaters and rogues is a brilliant model for organisational design and also can help us when it comes to RPA. Runners are a great place to start for robotic process automation, as they are often task-based activities and high volume touch time makes them the low-hanging fruit. Repeaters are also an opportunity for RPA, particularly the ability to scale on demand with no loss of quality. Rogues are more suited to AI, which means a chatbot, OCR or knowledge repository that can use machine learning to learn from the experience of human counterparts. This is sometimes called next best action. The AI learns a new task. It will initially defer to a human. As its confidence increases, it will present multiple actions it believes could be required. Finally, when the confidence level is high enough, it will complete the process entirely. Runners, repeaters, rogues also helps users understand the 80-20 rule. Don't spend time trying to make the whole scenario fit for your RPA. You will spend 80% of your time automating the last 20% of the rogues. There are two final tweaks to the model we've been discussing. At the bottom, you have your systems of record, your core business applications such as policy servicing, HR records and payroll. Sitting in here are also some of your legacy systems. Although it doesn't show it on this model, there is a link to the low-code and no-code application development tools I mentioned earlier. Ultimately, you can replace some of your legacy systems using these technologies. Finally, RPA provides a wealth of additional information used by business intelligence to analyse and further improve progress. More and more people are talking about digital process automation rather than just RPA or AI. And this is a good thing. It brings together organisational, operational and technical considerations. Again, RPA should not and cannot exist in its own bubble. The final slide is a maturity model, the evolution from first steps through to a digital and organisational transformation. At the beginning, you will likely face suspicion and the need to address staff concerns head-on. At the same time, you'll be learning and developing the skills needed. Communication is essential at this time to both communicate a consistent vocabulary as we've discussed, but also to celebrate success and showcase existing implementations. Next, you will need to begin to consider scale. This is where good organisational design and process skills will become critical. This is the start of developing an entirely new operating model. Organisations who successfully pilot automation can still struggle to scale without good business and process links. Finally, the goal is transformation, which generally involves a centre of excellence to ensure consistency, standards and governance, industrialising the processes for company-wide rollout. A final thought to leave you with, though, is to remember that whatever your current level of maturity, you're running a marathon, not a sprint. Automation can and will transform your organisation, but it will also need a change in culture and operating model. Good luck on all your endeavours, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions or feedback, then please contact us on info@wzard.co.uk or through the forum on our website at www.wzard.co.uk. The team at Wzard Innovation led the Fast Track Innovation team at LV, a large UK insurer pioneering the use of new technologies, introducing new ways of working, and subsequently scaling and sustaining the change. We've successfully implemented transformational change programs in many challenging industries and environments, and now work with a wide range of organisations, sharing our experience of changing organisation culture and accelerating the pace of innovation. We first piloted the use of automation in 2012 and now work with a variety of vendors helping organisations to get started, pilot, scale and sustain their digital transformation and automation programs. To find out more about our services, take a look at the website or feel free to get in touch and we'd be very happy to discuss further. Thank you for watching.